I'm going to record. There we go. So welcome everybody to the first training for our accountability program here. And this training, as I've said before, is going to be different because we are going to focus on some mindset stuff here tonight. And it is deep. We are going to go heavy. We're going to go deep. And like I said, if you might need to have tissues, I don't know where it's going to go for you. But a lot of times when I do this training, that happens because I'm going to take you back to a place that you might not want to think about, but that's okay. Because if it's something tonight comes up for you, that's because it needs to be addressed. So don't ignore it. Write it down, think about it, spend some time with it. So what I'm going to go over tonight, I'm going to share a little bit of my story. And okay, can you make sure you mute out? I mean, everybody, does it mute all? There we go.
Did you mute us all?
I thought I did. But I could hear you, so I guess not. Oh, there we go. Now I can't hear you. So just put it in the chat and I'll jump in the chat later. So what I want to go through tonight is a program that I created about 3 years ago, and it's called Journey to You. And it's a program that I teach, but I'm giving a little snippet tonight because I think it is so powerful for where everybody is at right now. And from all the back and forth that I hear from people, I think this is going to be the piece that really changes it for you. So before I go into this, I give a few disclaimers. One is sometimes when I really get going on a roll, I use sentence enhancers, AKA swear words. And if I do, it is not meant to offend anybody. It is just sometimes when I get in my role, it happens. And if I'm going to be very authentic and to myself, that's just part of who I am. If I look down, I have my notes here. Also, like I said, you might travel to a place in your mind tonight that you're like, holy crap, I didn't think about that in so long. So if anything comes up for you, then make sure you write it down because it's coming up and it's showing itself for a reason. So spend some time with that. And all right, so here's what I want to do. I'm going to share my story with you. And the reason that I want to share my story is not because I'm trying to just say, oh, everybody get to know me. The reason I'm going to get very vulnerable and very transparent with you is because I want you to look at this as yourself. I want you to start thinking as I share my story about yourself and these things that may have happened in your life that's affecting you right now that you don't even realize. So I'm going to travel back with me. It was probably about 4 years ago, and everything shifted in my life from one argument in the question, why? So I came home from work and I worked in the mortgage industry. I was a branch manager. I had worked my way up when I was done with network marketing with Bob when our second company had closed. Well, that's where I was when I was hoping to get out of it with network marketing, but our second company had closed. So I was working as a branch manager at the mortgage company and dealing with millions of dollars a month. I was probably in charge of like 25 people, I think my staff was at that time. So I had a pretty good job. And I came home and my husband and I get into an argument. And in this argument, my entire posture changed. Meaning my shoulders slumped and I went like this and I would say, you're right and I'm wrong and you're superior and I'm inferior. And I would go into this like very insecure space. And my husband just goes, why do you do that? Like, why do you go there? He's like, you're a strong, accomplished woman, but yet sometimes you go to this such insecure space. And literally that question, why, changed everything for me. Because in that moment, I was 35 years old and I go, why do I do that? Like, why do I act that way? Like, and I didn't understand myself and what I was doing. And here I am, an educated, accomplished woman, but yet in these moments, I would go to such this insecure space. So that question, why, started to lead me down this huge path. So I started to look at everything in my life. And I started to realize, well, do I really like these things or think this way? Or is this my belief? Or is it conditioned from years past? Or is it environmental things? Or is it, how did I get to be the person I am or the thoughts that I have today? Where is it really coming from? So the first realization I had in my life is that I was completely reactionary in my life. I would wake up and I was instantly in mom mode because I would wake up to my kids and I would get breakfast and kids off to school and daycares. And then I was in work mode because of technology. It was always right there. If I'm doing my hair, I'm eating breakfast, I'm on my phone, I'm emailing people. And then The whole day was about everybody else. And then the end of the day, I'm back into mom and wife mode, and then, rinse and repeat. And it's the next day. And I was like, holy shit, I'm not even part of my own life. Everything is just going through the motions every single day. So the very first thing that I had to do, and I realized, I was like, I have to get selfish. I have to get selfish in my own life, and I have to put me first. And I know the word selfish to working women and working moms, whether your mom's to, kids or fur babies or taking care of elderly parents, whatever it is, even in a woman's mind, getting selfish is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's a dirty word. But I'm telling you, if you do not fill your cup first, you cannot be the person you want to be to all of your loved ones. And that was a huge shift for me, because I always thought that I can completely be Wonder Woman and I can do everything and I got this and I have this, like, I'm just put a brick wall in front of me and I will charge through it, until I realized that my Wonder Woman cape is always in the shop, because I'm always reactionary and I'm always just taking what comes at me, and wasn't proactive in my life. So I started something for myself called the Selfish Hour, that I would wake up an hour before my family every single day. And people said to me, you're like, did you get this from the Miracle Morning? I read the Miracle Morning about 3 months ago. This was something that I just did on my own. So I would get up, and I still do this. Mind you, this is 4 years later. I still get up at 5:30 every morning. And I'm like, okay, if I'm getting up early, what do I want to do? I was like, people meditate. I guess I've heard this is cool. So literally went on YouTube and I was like, meditation, what do you do? And it was like 30 minutes, an hour. I'm like, nope, 10 minutes. Let's start small. So I started every single day with like a meditation, and I can't do just to music. I would be whatever I was feeling, guided meditation for anxiety, guided meditation for decision making, like whatever I felt I needed to hear that day. Then what I did was what any smart woman would do when you're trying to figure out who the hell you are in your life in this phase of your life right now. I Googled Oprah, like what would Oprah do? So dead honest on this. And I started watching old Oprah episodes, and just when she would interview Tony Robbins and Wayne Dyer and like all these amazing thinkers. And I just really started to shift my mindset. And the whole morning, in that hour, every morning is completely about me. No emails, no social media, no work, no nothing. I needed to know who Megan was again. And here's the thing. I didn't know that I was even missing until I started hanging out with myself again, which was crazy, because on paper, everything looked great. I had the job, I had the husband, I had the kids, I had the house, like everything looked great. But inside, I'm like, something is off. Like something is totally missing, because I'm doing and reacting to things in my life that I can't explain, and I don't like that. So my second realization in my Oprah time was, in my meditation, was I needed to go through my past to get to my future. And that was freaking scary, because I'm like, oh, like you put your past in your past, you bury it, you throw it deep in the ocean, and you lock that sucker up and it is gone. But however, what I realized was my past was what was still, something was lingering there. And going through my past and my meditations and my journaling and my writing took me back to the 5th grade, and which was crazy because it was something I hadn't thought about in gajillion years, whenever. Took me back to the 5th grade. And in the 5th grade, something happened to me. And it's not even crazy, but something happened to me where the teacher comes in after lunch one day and was like, oh, I want to see Megan and Phillips. My maiden name was Phillips. So much easier. Had I known what I've been doing with my life, I probably wouldn't have changed, but it's another story. Can I have Megan Phillips? So I'm like thinking, I'm so cool. I'm going to leave. I'm going to go do something so fun. And here they put me into speech therapy because I had a lisp when saying my S's. So now I'm sitting in this room and I'm in speech therapy. And a couple of weeks later, they come back in and they pull me out of class again, and they put me in another little room. And now I'm in special reading because I can't keep up with the kids reading in my class. So I'm in special reading and they have to pull me out during reading time. So instantly in the 5th grade, I started a story that I am stupid. I'm stupid. I'm not smart enough. I'm just, that's what it is. And I cashed it in the 5th grade. And my mom tried so hard and got me all these books where there's a will, there's an A, and like put me in all these classes. But I had created a belief, a perceived belief in my head that I am stupid, that carried me through. Now, fast forward to the 9th grade, and we do everything via Zoom, so you haven't met me, but I'm 5'10", so I am tall. I was a basketball player. My mom drops me off at my very first basketball game. And she's like, Megan, go out there, do awesome, hustle. We're going to be in the stands cheering you on. Try to score 10 points. I can't wait to see you play. So what I heard was if I didn't score 10 points, I was going to be a disappointment to my family. That's what I took away in that moment. So that then created this need for me to overachieve, which honestly has not been a bad thing in my life, but this need for overachieve and this thought that I'm stupid literally battles like this. So now let's fast forward even a few more years. And now I am in college. I graduated from Drexel here in Pennsylvania, a great school, all the time with anxiety because they're going to figure out that I'm stupid. I'm not smart enough to be in a school like this. Then I get a job. I became really good at sales, very good at sales, worked my way up the corporate ladder till I was the branch manager I was telling you about earlier. And every day I lived with anxiety so bad because here was I'm stupid, here's my need to overachieve, and there in between those two spaces lived anxiety, except I didn't know what anxiety was because I've always had it. Never could have disassociate anxiety from myself because that sourness in my stomach and in my gut, I just thought was part of me. And that's why I've always worked out, because working out and lifting weights is my release to deal with that. And then when I met my husband, Nick, he is ridiculously smart, huge vocabulary, double majored in college while being an athlete, master's degree, like every insecurity of mine just shoots right onto him, because when you're with somebody that you perceive as to be really intelligent and you perceive yourself to be dumb, now I had the question or the answer to my question, why? Why do I act this way? Never once did he ever put me down or make me to act stupid, but you know what was happening? 5th grade Megan was the one showing up in that argument. It wasn't present day Megan. I said, holy shit. When I realized what it was, I'm like, this has nothing to do with who I am today. This 5th grade version of me is still running my life. It is the lens at which I look everything through is happening through that 5th grade self. And when I had that moment, I was like, oh my goodness. But then I started to take it even deeper. And I said, okay, well then let's take off all the other jackets I'm wearing. I want to take off the mom jacket, the wife jacket, the branch manager, the daughter. I want to take off every layer to what I was wearing. And I said, who am I? Who am I at that core space of what I like and the characteristics? And Bob talks a lot about identity. Like, what is my identity if I pull everything off? Because if I asked you what your identity was right now, you'd probably say, well, I'm a mom, I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a daughter. Like, you would give all those, but like, take yourself outside of that and go way deeper to the characteristics of what makes you unique. And that's what I did when I sat there and I really wrote that out. I was like, oh my gosh, this is who I am. You know what? I am smart. I might not ever get on Jeopardy. I'm not book smart, but I'm freaking street smart. And you know what? My grammar's not great. My vocabulary is not huge, but people pay me to speak. Think about that. And I had to have that moment of like, people pay me to do this, but I'm still identifying with I'm stupid because I don't know these big words in a vocabulary. Like, because I went to a really small little country school in Ohio, and that's still who I was identifying with. But then I realized, no, I'm perfectly imperfect the way that I am. I'm spirited. I'm courageous. I'm a risk taker. And I started to write down all of these amazing attributes of who I am. So I want to stop there for a second, because here's what I had realized I needed to do. I needed to look at that fifth grade version of me, and I need to look at present day version of me. And I had to realize that they're two different people. In order to do that, I was like, how do I separate? How do I let go of that fifth grade self? And what I realized was that's in my DNA. That's who I am. She's never going to go away. So I need, and this is where it gets a little stick with me here, I needed to change that. So what did I do? I gave her a name. I call her Micah. So my fifth grade self is Micah. And then I have my present day Megan. And when things come up and my husband and I get into an argument, and I have a good marriage, but hey, when I'm being transparent, like, let's just be real. Sometimes they get on your nerves, right? So when we would get into an argument, I would literally pause in the middle of it and be like, all right, am I speaking from fifth grade self? Is Micah speaking, or is Megan speaking? And I would become very aware and be able to separate myself to change my response in that moment. And in that moment, that is where your growth lies, when you can separate yourself from that past self to this woman right here. So what I want you to do, and I see some people saying you call her little Vanessa. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to think about this for yourself. And I want you to think about those times when you say, I'm not enough, I'm not smart enough, whatever version of something you're not enough of. And I want you to think about that and think about that past version of yourself. And I want you to write down and give her a name. And I want you to write that on a piece of paper in front of you right now, is write down her name. And don't try to think about it too much and say, oh, well, you know, I really like the name Veronica. And, you know, it's that first name that comes to your mind to when you're thinking about your past, when you're thinking about the I'm not good enough, should enough, worthy enough, anything like that. Give her a name, because you need to be able to separate yourself from that one. I'm giving you a second there. Then next to that, or underneath of it or somewhere, I want you to write down, if you took off every jacket of responsibility that you have, who is left and who are you at your core? What are the core characteristics of you? Loving, compassionate, caring, survive. Like, who are you at your core? And you know what's crazy? It's basically who you were when you were a little kid. Like all those cool, fun, amazing pieces that make you you, that have got buried by all of these layers and these jackets that we put on. Get back to who you were at your core, or who you are at your core, not who you were, who you are, because that's the piece that's missing. Because we try to be everything for everybody else. And there's nothing wrong with that. I do it too. I just put myself first in the process. I told you, Shelly, you might need tissues. I told you. So did you do that? Are you still writing? I'll give you a second while you're writing. And I'll read some of the comments while you're writing right here.
I think it's because we don't compliment ourselves enough. We're always, and I, excuse me, this morning I woke up, I'm like, okay, today's gonna be an awesome day. It's Monday. And then all of a sudden, oh, all those things that we play in our head every morning started coming up, and the whole day just kind of went downhill. And as I was writing these out, I'm like, that's what I should be telling myself, you know?
Yes. So here's, I'm going to continue on now, because here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at that name that you wrote down. Like really look at that name, because I want to introduce you to the person that's been running your business and your life. It's that past version of yourself is how you approach things. That's the lens in which you filter everything that you're running your business and you're running your life. And that's the filter that you're going through to do it. And now look at those attributes and those characteristics that you wrote down about yourself. That's the CEO that is running your business from here moving forward. If you approached your business and your life from those attributes that you wrote down about yourself, how would every day look for you? It's hard when everybody's muted. but that's what it is. And I know it sounds a little bit woo and it's a little bit out there, but when I made this shift in my mind, that's when everything changed for me. I quit my job of 13 years. I hired Bob to be my coach, and we were friends, and I spent money and I hired him to be my coach when I was going through this process. And he was coaching network marketers, and I wasn't even in network marketing at that time, but I wanted to learn the social media. And the reality is I just wanted to learn from him because I knew he was going somewhere big, and I'm going to go behind him and I'm going to follow him. And we're going to do this together. And 6 months into that, I looked at my husband and I'm like, I'm quitting my job. And he was so supportive of me doing that because I realized my entire life, Micah, my story was the one leading my way. And I was done. And I'm like, I'm freaking taking back over my life and I'm moving forward. And was there days that sucked? Absolutely. Were there days where I was like in the fetal position, like chewing on my hair in the corner, like, oh, what did I do? I'm so crazy. I just walked away from a 6-figure, corporate job. But I knew for me to get to be the person that I was created, and the reason God put me on this earth was not going to be from 5th grade Megan getting me there. It had to be from those attributes and the core self of who I am. And that's the point that I wanted to share with every one of you, is that when you look at who you are down deep inside, and you bring that every single day to your business, to your life, to your loved ones, and you can find time to put yourself first, this is where the shift is going to happen in your life. We are given a finite time on this earth, ladies, and you want to make the absolute most of it. And what is the saying? I had to write it down here. Oh my gosh. So I'm sure you've heard this, and if you haven't, this is going to punch you in the gut like nothing ever has. So the definition of hell is getting to your last day on earth, and the person you became meets the person you could have become. Ouch. When I first heard that, that one slapped me in the face, and that was one of the things I had up and I had in my office. And I was like, you know what? When I get to that point, I want to look in a mirror. I want to be exactly the person that I was created to be, but I wasn't living that person. I was living from a very scared, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. And here's the thing, this doesn't go away. Like that story, that person, that friend, she doesn't go away. So you kind of got to make a relationship with her. If you're the CEO of your business, she's probably sitting on your board of directors, and she's going to come in every once in a while. So think about this. I got 2 perfect stories of this. So one, a year and a half ago, I was a keynote speaker at a big networking event, and I was going on at 8 a.m. Saturday morning, and at 7 o'clock Friday night, I'm sitting in my hotel room and I put my heels on. I'm going to practice in the mirror. I'm going to do my whole thing. And I go blank. I have nothing. I can't remember a single thing. And I start freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've lost my entire speech. Like I don't have it. And I go down, I get my girlfriend, Nicole, who understands this kind of talk that we're having here tonight. And I said, Nicole, I've lost my entire speech. And I'm talking about something pretty similar to what we talked about here tonight. And she says, Megan, that's your 5th grade self. Like, you're not doing that right now. 5th grade Megan, Mike is the one that's in here. And the reason that she's here is because she's friends with all the 5th graders in that room tomorrow, and she's trying to protect them. And when I realized that, I realized how many times that I can easily slip back into that old mindset and go into that scared mode, and that fear comes over me and I back off. And matter of fact, it happened 2 weeks ago or probably a little longer than 2 weeks ago. I was with Bob and his whole staff, and we were planning out this accountability program. And at the end, he's like, all right, Mag, he's like, let's set a time where you can come to my house and we'll record the videos for this. And I literally almost threw up on the table. I was like, oh my God, I got to record videos with Bob. Like, he's so perfect. He does everything polished and he never messes up. And what am I going to do? I'm not good enough to do a video with Bob. Like, and then so I get in my car and I'm like literally panicking, and I get in my car and I go to drive home and I'm like, damn it, Micah, like split personality a little bit. I'm like, that is not you talking, Megan. That is fifth grade self, Megan. Like, separate yourself from her. And I'm telling you, it takes work and it's never going to go away. But if you can get yourself to this point and you can recognize the two, ladies, life's about to get really fun, because this is where you step into your greatness. This is where you become the woman that you are destined to be, the businesswoman, the mom, everything that you want to be. That's where in it lies. Is this making sense? Did I lose some of you? Or are you like, this girl is cuckoo, she's got split? That's what my husband said. He's like, you're going to talk about split personalities tonight? That's what you're going to give them tonight? I'm like, yes, because when they can separate these two, man, I'm telling you, that's when the shift happened in my life. That's when everything started happening. And that's what I want to see for each and every one of you, is because you can push past it. Because you can have the scripts and the three-way calls and you guys can have all of that. But if you're doing it from the lens of that prior self, if you're not good enough in some area, you're never going to get there. Or maybe you will, but you can get there a heck of a lot faster if you shift that mindset to be the woman that you know deep down inside you are. Because every one of you know that you can be the top rank of your company, right? Give me a nod. You know that you can be the top rank of your company. You know you deserve to be there. You know you can create other leaders. But right now it's not happening. And this is why it's not happening. So I challenge every single one of you to make this shift. And I'm sorry that you're not going to be able to sleep tonight. Yes, that is true, because your mind is going to be going. But if anybody wants to unmute and share, I would love to hear from some of you. I see people wiping tears. Yeah, Vanessa, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to try not to cry. So I'm going to try to also keep it short, because I can sometimes be long-winded. Okay, so while you were talking about who you are without the jackets and all of that, you know, especially the last year, I've been really focusing on my past and little Vanessa. Maybe it's Valerie. I don't know. I like little Vanessa.
That's fine.
Anyway, okay. So I've been really, really focused on that. I've had a lot of trauma I'm not even going to get into. But one of the first ones was I lost my mom at a really, really young age. So before that, while you were talking about the characteristics when you strip everything else away, and I was writing down all of the characteristics, and I was really imagining myself as a child. And you were talking about like fifth grade. But before I moved to the States, because I'm originally from Greece. So when I first moved to the States, this was when my mother was still alive. And I was thinking to myself, this moment in time where I was just like this leader of the pack at the little like playground in the after school care. And all the boys would try to get, I know this may sound silly, but all the boys would want to take over the merry-go-round and not let any of the girls on. And I was like, no, we're going to show them. We're going to show the boys that the girls are going to take over the merry-go-round. I was fearless. I mean, now I have all these phobias of something bad happening to everyone I love. You can imagine where that comes from. But I didn't care if I fell. I didn't care if I got hurt. I was able to gather all these girls, and I was able to orchestrate us taking over the merry-go-round before the boys. And we were making it go nonstop so the boys could not get on the merry-go-round. And so the characteristics that I know I could probably go into more detail, but anyway, so my characteristics are loving and loyal, fun. But here's the deal. I was adventurous. I was daring and fearless. And now I feel like I am to some degree, but I have all these like fears that I've been trying to like break through. And then spiritual, I always had this innate belief in something greater. But here's the deal. Here are the other things. I've been second guessing my leadership for forever. But I put down leader, and I was very imaginative. Very, very imaginative. So now that anytime I want to revert back to Little Vanessa, I'm going to remember the merry-go-round. Because I fucking did it that day. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I did it. I orchestrated something at such a young age, and I was just so confident it was going to happen. And it may sound silly, but the girls, we took over that day. So anyway, that's my story.
I love that story, the merry-go-round story. And that's what it is. It's like, you were fearless back then. And then as we get older, more jackets come on. And with every jacket, I feel like there's a condition that we get, and like, oh, I can't do that. Or, oh, I get scared to do this. And you create all these conditions. But if you go back to that childlike state of being fearless and courageous and spirited like you were, there you go. That's who you are at your core, and bringing that to the forefront. That's the CEO that runs your business, not little Vanessa. However, a version of little Vanessa is the one that did the merry-go-round. Good. Anybody else want to share? I'm reading everybody's, I'm trying to go through here and read everybody. And I'm so glad this makes sense, because a fear of mine was coming on here, and I'm like, they're not going to like it. They're going to think I'm stupid. Like, it literally came up right before I jumped on, and I had to meditate and ground myself and get myself back and say, and I always pray every time before I talk, and I say, whatever words need to come out of my mouth for them to hear the message is what it's supposed to be. So if you ever have to speak and you say that beforehand, it allows you to be okay if you mess up or you forget to say something. That's my little trick.
So Megan,
yes, Wendy.
When you were talking about this, so I think some of you, I think I put this in my intro, but the past 3 years have just been brutal, honestly. And about 3 years ago, we found out that we have 4 children. Our youngest son had become addicted to opioids. Mm. And, that just kind of threw our family into turmoil. And we were very blessed. And I'm so thankful for my network marketing business, because it helped to pay for treatment. Insurance didn't do a whole lot for us. He wasn't bad enough for treatment, according to their whatever. I'm not even going to go into all that. But when he was there, we went through this thing called Family Week, and it was a trauma-based type of treatment. And you think you're going to kind of help your kids, but really it's really therapy for the whole family. And so one of the things when I had my therapy session with Jack's therapist, our family therapist, was through long conversations, she had me go outside one day, and she told me to write a letter to my father. And I thought it was like the stupidest thing ever. My dad and I didn't have a very close relationship. He was like the typical provider, workaholic, not abusive or anything. He was just very emotionally detached. So through that whole process, I kind of realized some pretty significant things. And one of them was at a pretty young age, I realized that my mom had gotten pregnant with me before they got married. And, over the years kind of found out my dad had dropped out of college to marry my mom and support the family, but they didn't have a very happy marriage. And the way I internalized all of that was that it was my fault, because they got married because she got pregnant with me. And so, I kind of made it my responsibility to be the best at everything. So at least then, it was worth it. If they were unhappy, at least if I was the best student, the best daughter, the best sister, eventually the best wife, the best mom, all the things. And it was just a really, really painful thing to go through. But I learned that we all have coping mechanisms. We all experience trauma, whether it's what they call little t trauma or big T trauma or chronic trauma. We all go through those things in our lives, and then we have ways that we cope with it. And so my coping mechanism was achievement, worthiness, proving myself to be worthy of that. The place where I feel like I'm getting stuck is once I kind of understood that, I feel like when I first started in network marketing, one of the things that really drove me was accomplishment, recognition, earning trips, all those things. And then after we went through all of this, and then, our son's doing great. He's in college and home now. My mom passed away about a year after that. My dad and I have had a lot of healing in our relationship, but I feel like my why's kind of gotten lost in there somewhere, because the things that used to drive me don't drive me so much anymore.
There's a point in there too where your why can evolve and change as life and things happen and change.
Right.
Like, my why is different than it was a couple of years ago because I'm a different person. So a lot of life has happened to you there. So it's really sitting down and reevaluate. And I'm telling you, Bob does those questions of, like, if you're at the end of 2019, it's December, and you look back, do you know those questions that Bob does, those 4? I'm telling you, if you look at those from where you're at today, who do you need to be? What do you got to let go of? And for you, Wendy, I would question, and I'm reading Christy Diaz's at the same time here, is when you're looking for the worthiness and the approval, and recognition was how you got approval, is it really come down to, do you unconditionally love yourself? Is it your own self-worth and not getting the acceptance of others in that worth? Is it, do you unconditionally love who you are? And I would say for the most of us, like, kind of that's where some of it comes back to. We question our self-worth. We question, that's where I was at. Like, I felt so lost in my own life, and I felt like I was like a robot in a game playing, and I'm like, it wasn't even part of me. So that's a space where I would, for you, I don't know if you journal, or like you said, you wrote that letter to your dad, just sit down and write and just kind of have a conversation with your inner being. That's one of my.
And then why do I sabotage myself in my business?
Oh, you need to.
I'm such an achiever, but at the same time, in the companies that I've been in, every time I get this close to the top rank of the company, and then it's like I disconnect. Okay.
Anybody read this book?
I actually have that book and I haven't read it.
Oh, gee, I'm gonna go. So this book, it's one of those ones, same thing. I had it for 2 years, and one of my girlfriends, because I was saying the same thing, I'm like, every time I get up, I bring myself back down. So what they talk about in this book is look at your life as like a thermometer, that at a young age, you set the temperature on which that thermometer can rise to. And every time you get there and that thermometer peaks, you're going to find a way to bring yourself back down. So it's a fascinating when you really go through this to understand. And I actually, in my Journey to You course, I teach part of this because I've read this book twice, because I was like, oh my gosh, it's called Your Upper Limit Problem, that you self-sabotage. Think about this. When everything's going good in your life, do you ever think, oh, I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop, like, everything, this is good, and this is good, and this is good, and my kids are good in school right now, and I'm fitting into my skinny jeans, and like, oh, this is really good. And then I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop. You're setting yourself up for that. Why can't every day be a Saturday in unicorns and sparkles? We are conditioned to believe that that's the anomaly. Like, that shouldn't be what it is every day. And he questions in this book and says, why can't it be that? Like, why shouldn't every day be like that? Yes, things are going to happen, but it's all in the meaning that you give them. Like, whatever happens in your life. Shelley was talking earlier, oh, it's going to be a great day, and then some things happen and get you off track. Well, you're the one that allows it to get you off track, because you assign whatever happened to you a meaning. And typically the meaning we assigned that something is negative or it's bad. Does that make sense? It can go through this book. I'm telling you that, yeah, wowzers. The ending gets a little weird. I kind of skipped the last chapters, but the first half of the book's really good. Do you ever get that? And you're like, why does every book stop right here? Well, the book stopped being good. I stopped. All right, good. Is there anybody else that wanted to share? I mean, we have a couple of more minutes here. Or you can message me personally. Go ahead, I was hoping you would raise your hand.
I think a lot of things kind of popped into my head as I was going through this with you. I think one of the biggest ones that just had me bawling was, I think in my life, going back to even when I was a kid, I was always doing what I was supposed to do, what everybody else wanted me to do. I was a smart kid. I was good at sports. I was good at this, good at that. And I think I just went through and still, well, I went through life going and doing the things that I was supposed to do. It's like I check off the box, you know, graduate high school, go to college, you know, do sports, get a job, check that off, get married, house, kids. And even through all the issues that I've gone through, like with accomplishing all that I accomplished, like it's still, I did it. And then I'm looking for the next thing. I'm looking for the next thing. And then it's like, you get it. And then it's like, I'm still not happy. I'm still not happy because I'm doing all these things for everybody else and not for myself. And, you know, with the business side of it, I love it. And I was kind of going after it for the accomplishment at the beginning and realizing probably about 2 years ago that just didn't make me happy. And I kind of had this last 2 years where I took a major step back and reevaluated everything. And in doing that, I also lost part of me, because I finally was doing something that I enjoyed, that was that time for me, you know. And this is something that, you know, with the coaching that I do and being, you know, in the health and fitness industry and wellness, it's something that I wanted to do. And it's not really socially acceptable. You know, it's a pyramid scheme. It's this, that, the other thing. You're supposed to, you know, go to college, get your degree and have a job, and that's it. You're not supposed to do this kind of work. So I think I'm always trying to please everybody else. And with that, I lose myself, and I've lost myself. So, yeah.
So what can you do differently now, knowing that?
I'm doing it regardless. I don't care what people say or think, no matter how close they are to me. I'm doing it because, you know, starting back up with this and joining, you know, Doreen pushed me to join the Legacy Leadership group with Bob. It's kind of re-energized me, and I realized that this is what makes me happy. This is like that missing piece. You know, I'm feeling fulfilled because I'm helping myself, but also helping others. That's what's missing. And, you know, the career path I chose by going to school, like, yes, I did help people, but it wasn't fulfilling.
Yep.
It wasn't fulfilling that need. And this is.
There's
fulfilling that need. And I forget whose book or what topic I went to a discussion, and they just said, you know, as you're growing up from very little, you're taught you could dream and you could be anything that you want. And then as we get older and older and older, everybody's just squashing our dreams and said, well, that's not what you're supposed to do. You can't do that. And it keeps getting ingrained into our brains. And I, you know, I look at my kids, even I have 2 young kids. I find myself saying some of those things to them, and it's just horrible. I'm like just doing the same exact thing, like, you know. So I'm putting a stop to it. You know, let people dream, let people be, like, let everybody be happy in doing what they're meant to be, what I'm meant to do. And it may not be, you know, what society thinks or what people think is, you know, the typical lifestyle, but it's what makes me happy, and that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. And I read a lot of books. Simon Sinek's Start With Why. In there, he talks about the difference between happiness and fulfillment. And that's a huge one. And I think so many of us get there because that's where I was at in life. I was happy. Like, you can be very happy, but happy is a moment in time. Like, you don't wake up in the morning happy about something that happened 6 months ago. But when you are fulfilled fulfilled is sustainable. Fulfilled is long lasting. And that's where you finally got to, something that fulfills you with inside. And when you can get to that point and just say, screw everybody else, like I'm doing me, like this is what I want to do. This is who I am. This is where I want to be. Fulfillment is the place. Like I'm so happy for you to be there. And it's a hard space to get into because somebody will say something like, oh, you're doing that. Oh, that pyramid scheme thing, like, yeah, way to go there. You didn't stick with that old job for 30 years to get the benefits to retire on a small pension. Like, we just live in a different society now. My parents still have no clue what I do. And that's okay.
I think, you know, and Doreen knows me so well inside and out. She like, I'm still that little girl. I'm still that little girl.
Did you name her?
Yeah, I don't really like the name, but yeah, I put Karen because it sounded like Carrie, but like I like the little Carrie, like it's still little Carrie, you know, that I'm seeking that approval. And even to this day, and I'm starting to stand up better for myself, but I'm like, I can't believe I'm almost 41 years old and here I am still like looking for my parents' approval on things. Bad.
There was obviously I listen to all kinds of stuff. I think it was like a Rachel Hollis podcast or somebody, I can't remember who it was, but they talked about how when you're a kid, you're all excited and you're dreaming and you have all these dreams. And then as you get older, your dreams get squashed by society and like, you should go to this, you should get this kind of job, you should go into this. And then as you get older, you try to recondition yourself again to break all of those habits that you learned that were supposed to be the habits. Now you're trying to break all of those. And that's exactly why we're here. We're trying to break all of those habits that society, parents, family, and here's the thing, you can look back and you could blame parents, you could blame society, you can blame whatever, but the one thing that I've learned is our parents could only do as good as they knew how to do. And that was a huge lesson for me to learn because we can always place judgment on everybody else, but it is a choice every single day when you face your business, when you want to message that person, when you want to message those A players, that is a choice that you have, and you can choose however you want to go in that moment. And that is where I always live. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go from strong Megan and like, Micah, you could stay over here. Like, it's okay. And like, sometimes she's very present and I'm like, I'll even say to and it's so funny now because my husband's like, yo, Micah, take a hike. Like he knows when I instantly switch into that space, like he gets it now. It's a little bit weird, but he gets, and I'm telling you, like when you can finally make that transition, it's amazing to let that go. And you just start to realize like, it's not bothering me anymore. Like, stop. Like I'm not doing it. It's not.
I think it's eye-opening. I think all of this is just eye-opening. And I don't know, like, I'm not afraid to do certain things, but I wonder like that, I don't know. It's just eye-opening. I can't even put into words what I'm thinking right now. But yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Well, good. Hey, it's 10 o'clock exactly. I will stay on here if anybody wants to talk. I'm all ears, or you can stay on, or you could jump off. It is 10 o'clock, but I just want to say thank you so much for listening to my story, letting me get vulnerable and sharing who I am so that you could see that within yourself. I think every one of you are amazing. And I've said this before, like I'm on a mission to help women to step into their greatness, because I know the more women that we have step into our greatness, the better we can change the world and change everything that is going on. So I love being part of this. I love being able to help every one of you, not just from the network marketing and grow your business, the tactical stuff, but also getting to who you are, because that's what it's all about. So I just want to say thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here and listening. And if you want to stay on and talk, or you want to message me separately, please, let's do that. I totally welcome any conversations. And here's the thing too, if things start to come up for you later and you're like, holy crap, like all this stuff's going through my head and now I'm all kinds of messed up, message me and let's talk through it, because we just opened some floodgates for you to really think about a lot of stuff. So if anything else comes up and you want to talk about it, I am always here. So if you want to stay on, great, and we could chat more. If you're going, I will see you tomorrow at the accountability session. Jessica, did you want to say something there? Jessica Taylor, did you raise your hand?
Well, I was saying goodbye.
Oh, never mind.
But if you
Oh, and you
want,
raised your hand. I didn't know, but bye.
actually, something did just come up for me at the tail end because I've done a lot of this deep mindset work. I actually sent myself on a retreat and back in January and locked myself up with a bunch of women to do this stuff. But one of the things that was going on for me was I've been called mission. So I'm a corporate executive. I've been called Mission Impossible girl. Like I'm always the girl that gets hired to build something, or, you know, there's a team falling apart. I got to rebuild it, whatever. So I've got this title in corporate America called Mission Impossible girl. And obviously I've created a complex that like, I'm kind of proud of it, right? Like I fix things. And I think when
is to have control, but there's so much shame in talking about my why, because I was brought up, you don't talk about money. So it's like I live in this cycle of not really knowing how to get out. It's like I talk to safe people that I know I have an influence over. I feel I am much more influential over a cold market. But I know that's not true.
That's a story.
But
That's a red
the
light
place
story.
That's the place I live in. And, you know, I came out of the gates really wrong. And I know a lot of my friends hid me. And I can tell because, you know, they stopped commenting on posts. You know, you just know. And I don't know, I just live in this, I sat at the same rank for 3 years. And I know it's because I don't know why, but it's just, I feel like I'm in this cycle I cannot get out of.
So there's two thoughts that I have here. The first one is, do you not, I don't want to say you don't try, that you're sitting in this cycle and you're not moving forward because you have a safety net?
100%.
You have a safety net that most of us don't have. We don't have that safety net. So you have that safety net.
And I don't, and most people, like, for me to talk about this in front of people, it's easy to talk about it because I don't know any of you. So I'm not worried about, I turn this camera off and it's like, I didn't tell this to anybody because I live in this secret. It's like, I live in shame of having money.
I'm trying to think because it's a the other thought that I had was, you know, network marketing can create, I don't know what type of wealth it is, but it sounds like a lot, but you can create some amazing wealth on your own in this industry.
And that's my dream.
You would still have that, but you can create this on your own.
Well, and when you talked about the little girl, like, my pivotal moment that I talk about a lot, like with my husband, is when I was 14, my mom was driving me to school and there was like a snack stand in high school where you could buy like muffins, Costco muffins and stuff. And I remember looking at my mom and saying, can I have 50 cents? I want to get a muffin at snack. And she looked at me and said, no, you knew you wanted a muffin. You should have gotten 50 cents out of your room. I mean, like, I had a bank account at an early age. Like, she does not release anything. And so it's like, that's what I've always lived under. And it's like, I'm almost afraid to make too big of a step because I'm afraid then I'm going to lose my safety net. And then what if this fails? Then what?
You need to release yourself.
I don't know how.
And
I just don't know how.
I'm not saying walk away from the money, but there's got to be a place where your mom has this on, but then you are holding yourself like hostage underneath of it.
100%.
I'll open this up. Does anybody else have anything they want to chime in and say here that they feel they could help her with?
Since your mom doesn't take it serious anyway, and she doesn't really know how much you work in the business, what if you work your ass off? You have that safety net in your own bank account, so you can tell your mom to fuck off if you want to, or you can say, you know what, Mom, I don't need you. You don't control me anymore, right?
That's all I want. I want to be able to say that, and like, I want to be able to take her on a vacation where she can leave her person home. And
so there's your why.
Amazing
Write it down.
Trip to show her, look what I've done.
Did you ever have this conversation with her? Have you ever talked to her like this?
Hey, Trace, give me 1 second, okay, buddy? He wants to talk to me about putting on your pants.
But there, like somebody said, there's your why. Your why that should drive you every day when you're picking up the phone and you're messaging people is, I'm taking my mom on a vacation and I'm paying for everything. And here's the thing you need to be okay with. She still might not get it. And that's okay.
And like, don't get me wrong, she's my biggest supporter. She's been like a customer from the beginning. She loves the products. Like, she is a huge supporter of what I'm doing and understands how powerful like the outcome is, but I just don't think takes me seriously as a businesswoman. And like when I left the classroom and started doing this full time, she said, what am I supposed to tell people you do now?
I'm a freaking rock star. I'm an entrepreneur. Well, because here's the thing. You have to think about your mom. She's coming from a very different mindset of what work is. We live in a society now where we work from here up because I work in yoga pants and I only get dressed from here up. Do you know what I mean? So it's a very different society and thought of what work is to earn money.
Right. Well, and that's, I don't think I finished when that snack story. Like, I looked at her and I remember saying I was 14 and saying like, I will never have to live to depend on this money. I mean, at 14, that was like, I remember my first business class in college, I learned about network marketing and I went straight into a company out of college. Like, I've always known this was where I was going to find what I wanted. I just needed to find my home.
Then go out and drive it every single day and have your why pushing you. If it's a picture of your mom on your phone, that's going to be the drive, whatever it is. But there you go.
Right.
Can I add to this?
Yeah, go for it, Teresa.
Okay. So first, there's a lot of different things. It's Heather, right? I can't see you now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Okay. So there's several different things that you've been talking about that have made me feel really nervous about, which means to me that I need to say something. So first you were talking about being on your own, and you grew up with this money and being worried about your mom and everything. And then Megan just mentioned your why. I kind of feel like, I mean, the vibe that I get from you position where you are really wanting to help people. Am I wrong with that? Like, do you feel like you are being drawn to help people in some way? Okay, so whether it is helping people with, I mean, I don't know what your company is, whether it's health or skin or whatever, but either way, you're wanting them to have wealth, and this definitely is.
I am. I want people to understand freedom.
Absolutely, absolutely, and there is nothing wrong with money. And I think, I mean, growing up, so in my family, I grew up middle class, but my mom grew up very, very poor, like very poor, never had a Christmas tree, very poor. And, but she grew up being, being very, very successful. I mean, considering her family, I mean, I was still middle class growing up, but she herself did really great things. And it wasn't because she feared wealth. It was because she had this passion of having more for her children, more for her family, outside family, like her parents and her siblings, and also giving to people. I remember my mom giving, like, we were walking out of a restaurant and there was a man who was sitting on the ground asking for money, and my mom walked away and she sent my dad back with a bunch of money, but like she was pouring tears. And that's the thing. I feel like for you, I feel like you need to maybe like, your mom is a why, taking care of your mom is a why, but I feel like maybe you are meant for something even more, and that can be, I mean, I don't know what that why looks like, but if you could just like find something that you are passionate about outside of your family, and you can rely on your family's money all you want for the rest of your life, but the income that you bring in from your direct sales business is going to go towards supporting whatever your why really is. So if your why is to grow people up and to help them be educated and be self-sufficient and whatever, I mean, you can start a nonprofit. You could just support one that already exists. You can give money to educational systems for youth that are struggling. So my encouragement for you is that you come from a really awesome background and that you have a completely different perspective than a lot of people do. For me and my family, we got started because I taught for 10 years and then I stayed home and then we didn't have money. So this is why I'm doing this. But you have money, so you get to give in excess. You get to do something even bigger. And the way that you share your story, I mean, you share that story, you're giving, the things that you're helping other people to do. That's the story you share with your customers and your prospects. So I just want to encourage you that I think that, I mean, just hearing your spirit and the way that you're talking, I think you're made for great, great things. And in doing these things and finding what you're really passionate about and supporting that, live off of your family money, that's fine. But then use your excess to support other people. And I think that your mom would be so thrilled. Like, I don't feel like you have to worry about your mom or whoever taking money away. Like, I think that's going to be there, and I think she's going to be proud of you doing it. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you for sharing them.
You're welcome.
You can get me anything you want.
Good stuff. Good stuff. God, I love this. This is amazing. And 32 of you are still on here. Who else wanted to go? Who else? Oh, Shelly. Yep. Sorry.
First of all, there's no coincidence that your Facebook Live didn't work.
This was supposed to happen.
Absolutely. We would not have been able to go so deep, nor feel it like we can, looking at each other's faces and seeing them wipe the tears away. So first of all, thank you so much for doing this for us, Megan. I love this community. I want to stay here forever. So supportive, and yeah, this is what every one of us needed in our life, and I'm so grateful for that. So I'm a talker, so I'm going to try to really narrow this down, but the hardest thing for me is, and maybe this is something I really need to work on, but I mean, obviously this is what I need to work on, but I build everybody up. I'm the biggest supporter. I'm the biggest cheerleader. I love on them, but I don't see myself loving on me. A lot happened in my childhood. My dad left when I was 1, pregnant at 17. I was working full time. I moved out at 16. I quit high school, and so my future did not look very bright. Married to an alcoholic for 17 years. My whole life was about raising my kids the way that I wasn't raised. My mom worked full-time, a job and a half, and she wasn't there. So I literally poured every ounce of my being into being the best mom that I could. Every sports. I mean, my daughter Jessica said, "Mom, you never even missed practices." I'm like, I didn't miss anything because nobody did that for me. I'm an amazing mom, but when it comes to loving on myself, I literally will listen to what I just said. I'm like, why would you say that, Julie? You're such a positive person. I don't know if it's the little chatter from my ex-husband, my current husband. I love him to death. He's a wonderful man, but he thinks I live in the land of unicorns and rainbows, and I tell him it's a great place to be. But I get the little mocking all the time, you know, network marketing, and it's not a real thing. Go get a real job. And I shared with Megan 10 years ago, I decided I hated working outside the home, so I was going to make it work no matter what. And I started an Etsy business from $0, and I created it to where I was making an average of $23,000 a month. And it was the best feeling in the world. And I was so proud of myself because I never went to college. But little by little by little, Etsy changed the way they ran things, and I've slowly lost my business to where, and I've been running it 10 years. There just isn't, I have a lot of competition. That's another story. And so I think I have so much to offer. I have a lot of ability. I'm a good person, but of course I'm a good person. What I mean is I have so many great qualities, but when I sit down, like there's been a few days last week, I'm like, okay, let's do this. This is awesome. Get the conversation started. And then once I do, I'm doing great, but it's that getting it started. Okay. Oh my God, now I don't even know what to say. What is hello? How are you doing? I was like, you just totally blink off. And I don't want to get a job. I mean, I'm not being forced to. I have so many in my savings. If I had to live on it, I could. But it's like, why am I stopping myself from having
It's that old past self of you.
success?
Is it fear of success or is it fear of failure? Because a lot of times we get those mixed up. If you really dug deep enough and you peel apart the onion on that one, that's a whole other training that we could do of the fear of success or the fear of failure.
It's fear of failure because I experienced success and it was the best feeling in the world too. I literally took my dad before he died of cancer to Mexico, and like what was her name? Like Heather.
But let me ask this. If you say it's fear of failure, but yet I'm going to use this word paralyzed when you even go to message somebody, do you think deep down it could be fear of success because you had success once and lost it? So if you're scared, if you had success again, that same
and I might lose it
happen.
again.
So it's like putting that in front of yourself. So maybe it's the fear of success. And I'm just throwing this out there. Hey, I am not a psychiatrist or psychologist. I've just
No.
studied this within myself long enough and read so many books on this type of stuff. But really sit and think about what is that thing that is holding you back? Like, what is that big underlying fear that you have? And then finding a way to separate yourself from that. And that's why I feel that giving it a name is how you separate it. Like, instead of being like, oh, I'm just not going to do that today. Well, that doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm just going to feel this way about it. Like, the Mel Robbins thing, that motivation's bullshit. It's not. You 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 yourself and you go freaking do it. Great book, by the way. If you haven't read that one, do that one. Audible it, that one. You can do this, Shelly. You're not going to go back to get a job. You can do this. It's separating yourself from that part of you that thinks you can't.
So I pray in the morning. I read my scriptures. I meditate. I've tried affirmations. I don't know what's going to shift that. I guess just writing it all down. That was that other girl. That was the girl that got pregnant at 17 and quit school and all that. That's that person. And then this new description is Shelly.
So what was your description of who you are?
Right now?
Yes. At your core. At your core, who are you?
I'm a leader. And I am a wonderful leader. Like I told you, I care.
So you don't have to justify. Hey, you don't have to justify it. Just who are you? Give me the identity, those attributes.
I'm a leader. I'm loving. I'm caring. I'm compassionate. I'm strong, smart, courageous. Those are.
And see, because the reason why you're crying is because we don't say these things to ourselves.
No, we don't.
Seeing it on paper and going, oh my gosh, that's me. Like, think about that.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. So every day, keep that in front of you when you're going to make those calls and you're going to do this, and share that person with people.
Thank you, Megan.
You got it, girl. I am so impressed with all of you. I have to tell you, it's 10:33 here on the East Coast, and you girls are still rocking. Who else? What do we got?
So I jumped on a bit late. times.
Oh boy, you got to watch the recording.
I'm gonna watch the replay, but I told him I kind of want to know what's going on. But this is awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, you're gonna have to catch the first half of the replay. Anybody? Anybody? You're all just gonna sit here on there? If nobody wants to talk, then we could jump off. But if anybody wants to share, I am here. Go ahead,
Megan?
Ash.
Okay, so mine's not really something I'm struggling with currently, but it's something I struggled with for a very long time, and it actually came to fruition today. For a very long time, I have been a wallflower. Oh,
Where'd
hi,
you-
now you can hear me. Did you guys hear any of that?
Yeah, you said wallflower, and then you literally
Okay.
became a picture.
I don't know what happened. I literally don't know how to say it. Actually a really shy person in person. I'm like an introverted extrovert, I guess, but like in front of, like when I do lives and things, I'd come to life. Like it's my jam. But for so long, I had listened to what my mom had like kind of instilled in me, and she really cares about what other people think of her and of us and our family. And she's very, very into like gossip, and it drives me nuts because it's not what I am. And so something that has been bothering me for a little bit. First of all, like I do a ton of personal development, and it got to the point like where she and I, we get along like best friends, but then like we butt heads so hard, like it just is bad. And she's very negative in life, and she originally told me, she said, I was telling her, I'm like, you need to like deal with this issue you're having. She said, you just read too many books. I was just like, what? Like, who says that anyway, first of all? I just thought that was really funny, but it kind of came back today when I realized that something that happened. Our school does like these aptitude tests, and they're really more of a score for teachers than it is for the kids. And my son is an ADHD kid. My oldest is, and they suggested that they bring like Little Debbie snack cakes and like honey buns and nutty bars and like crap like that for them to eat. And we are super strict with how our kids eat, and they don't get soda and things like that because we're real health nuts and we feed them good food. And when my oldest gets that kind of crappy food, he doesn't perform well. He can't focus. He bounces off the walls. Like it literally just turns him into this completely other person. And so today I would never, without Bob's group, I would have never, and probably my business too, with all the personal development I've done, I would have never come to this point where I had a backbone. Like I've always been pretty much a spineless person. I always just kind of go with the flow. I don't make waves because that's what my mom always kind of led me to be. And you know, I never wanted to ruffle anybody's feathers. And today I freaking did that for really the first time big in my life. And I was super proud of myself because I addressed it with the school. I took it to the principal, and I kind of I made a big stink about it. And it felt so good to me that that I stood up for something, even if like I was standing alone, even if no one else stood up for what I was truly believing in and feeling. And a bunch of people came to the surface and agreed with me on this. But what's funny is I came back and I was telling my mom about it, and she like, not that she disagreed with what I was doing, but how I was doing it, and like basically just told me that I don't know, that again, a disapproval. And it's like this constant, I don't know, I don't think I need her approval. I feel like she comes to my house and brings this negative energy with her constantly. And I don't know how to, I've told her before, but I just can't get her to stop. But it's like I can't like, take her out of my life either. So I don't know if anybody else ever struggles with that, but I'm the youngest of two. I have two older brothers, and I'm always the baby of the family. And so I feel like, first of all, she never wanted me to quit my job to do network marketing because it's, there's no safety in it. There's no guaranteed paycheck. There's no benefits. And I started my business while I was still working 3 other jobs, and I quit all my jobs. And she's like, I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm like, do you see how much money I'm making? Like, I don't need these jobs. I don't need that. I have, if I need something, I'm going to work my ass off to get it. And finally she's kind of come to the light, but I always feel like because I'm the baby of the family that they don't take me seriously.
Is that your story, or is that?
That's truth. I mean, yeah, it's probably a little bit of a story too, but like, because if I've said that to them before, but then they're like, that's not true, which I don't know. I think I feel like they always view me as this, I don't know, not unprofessional, but just like a kid, you know?
And that's fine. That's what is it? What other people think about you is none of your business. Like if that's how they view you, that's on them. Like, you know who you are, you know that you can wear sweatpants and work out every single day and still make a boatload of money because that's network marketing and you can do that. With your mom being negative, so something that I always do you ever hear people talk about protect your bubble? Like there's a bubble outside of you. And so think about like your energy or your space, there's like a protective bubble around you. And you allow what energy you want to come into that space. And if your mom is giving you negative energy, like it hits the bubble and it pops off. So one thing that I always do is if I just got bad energy, like you could tell they're negative, whatever, but I'm kind of in a conversation or I'm close with them, I always go in my head, I'm like, return to sender, return to sender, return to sender. Like, get this energy off of me. I don't want to be around this negative energy. So in my head, I'm just returning it to sender, because a lot of times when you're with negative people, you take that on. And all of a sudden you were up on a high and you leave them and now you're down here and the rest of your day's down here, and you don't want that. So I always, and the energy vampires, yep. I always say I'm like, return to sender. And because I'm saying that in my head, it kind of makes me giggle a little bit. So it like reverses that negative energy that's coming at me. And I'm like, get this out of here, like return to sender. That's my trick.
Cool, I'll try that.
There's nothing scientific about it at all. That's just,
it just works.
Just works in my mind.
You can see I don't even have pants on. This is how I work.
And that is totally fine. And here's the thing. And it's okay if other people don't understand that. It's okay if your parents don't get it. Like I said, my parents cannot wrap their head around what I do. And I've tried to explain to them. And now I just say I make money on the internet. Like that's all I say I do.
Like, and they get like what I do, but I don't think they know. Like my why has changed so many times since I started my business, and I haven't even been in it for years yet. But my why now is to take care of my parents. Like they have lost, they're farmers and they've lost everything to so many floods, and like everything that they've worked their ass off for so many years, it just goes underwater and it's done. Like there's nothing they can do to recoup that. And so my why, and this has happened in the last like 2 months again, and so my why now has changed, and it's focused on helping them. But then I just feel like I get the shaft because number one, they don't know that, and I think that they would it would hurt their ego if I told them that. But then I feel like I'm getting the shaft by the way I get treated, not by my dad, but by my mom, and just, I don't know. We're very similar, and so I think that's why we butt heads so bad.
Yeah, but think about how good you would feel if you were able to help them like that. Like even if they were giving you the shaft, like Sylvia's on it. Go.
Okay. As a parent myself, what we want to do is it's not that it'd be their ego. I think it's parents want children to succeed, and I know for me and my husband, we don't want our children to have to take care of us, because it's just, we want to be able to give to our children. So being in that position to where having to take it, you're doing it out of love, but still as a parent, it's really hard because it's supposed to be the other way around. So maybe if you see it from a different perspective, as not that they're not appreciative, it's just hard on them because it's hard to accept. Right, I don't know, how it is, the relationship is, but we're already trying. And that's why I'm also in network marketing, because we want to be prepared when it's time for us to go to a nursing home or whatever. We don't want our children to have to take care of us because it's a heavy burden. You know, we've done it and we did it out of love, but it's really hard on the parents to have to be at that point.
Right.
So
Yeah,
from a
that's
different perspective.
I like that.
Thanks, Sylvia.
You're welcome.
I love these conversations, ladies. This is like, and you know what this does? But I was sitting here thinking, we've only been doing this for a week now, what we started last week. But like now moving forward for the next 4 weeks, like how tight do we feel with one another? And like when somebody has a success and somebody wants help, and I created a couple of different pods today because people didn't have uplines to help them. So within their company created some pods. Like how good do you feel like helping somebody else out now? Like it just comes from a totally different place because now we feel connected as a group, and like the success is just so much more sweet at that point. Because it is. I hope by the end of this that you just not only have new people in your organization, but that you rank up and you really have this solid foundation underneath of you. Because like I said, the mindset piece always needs to be worked on, but we're doing the work to build the business as well. So combining those two things together, you ladies are rock stars to get out there and do it. But it's busting through all this shit that's going on in our heads all the time. Good. Does anybody want to share one last one before we end this here? Go ahead, Courtney.
All right. So I really struggle I'm like already crying. I really struggle like feeling safe, like with myself, like being myself. So I don't know if I can get through this. Like ever since I was little, like I remember people used to always like make comments about the way that I looked, and saying like I had to act a certain way, like so weird. Like when I was in getting my first communion, like and doing confession with the priest, and the priest would say like, oh well, God blessed you with a gift, but like you have to act a certain way so people will think like you have a good heart. Or like when like my parents, like they hired I was the first person in my family to go to college, and they hired like a college advisor, and he said to me like, oh, you have, you know, you're so pretty, but you have to like overcompensate with your personality because you're gonna come off as a bad way. And just my whole life I've always been acting like to be a certain way so that people would like me, so that like people didn't just judge me based on like the way that I looked. And I really feel like I went through my whole like childhood being somebody who I thought I should be and not somebody who I was, especially like the overachieving part too, because I, you know, from early on, like it was really clear that I was smart and like I was going to be the first person in my family to get a college degree, to have all these like accolades. And so when I went to college, it was really the first time where like I was sort of free from that and I could be myself. And then like a month into college, like something bad happened to me, and it was like I didn't feel safe anymore, and I kind of morphed into that person. And I got over it, and then I went to graduate school, medical school, which is like super male dominated, and I found like having to sort of like dumb myself down a little bit to like get my ideas heard and get my views expressed. And so the reason why I love network marketing is because I feel like it's a safe space for me to be myself, but like it's all strangers. It's kind of like what Heather said, it's people I don't know. Like my entire team is strangers that I've met. And I know that I'm limiting myself because I'm not showing up because I'm scared. Like I just don't feel safe and feel, I don't know. I don't feel like something bad is going to happen to me if I like show up and be myself and just sort of be like who I am, if that makes sense.
Can I ask this question? Why is it bad that all of your team are strangers?
I don't think it's bad, but like I like all my reach outs and everything that I do, like I don't reach out to anybody like in my like warm network.
Okay. Because when you were saying that, I was like, to me, that's what's exciting about it. Like, look at all these new, amazing people that you get to meet and you get to help. 4 years ago when I started my Polka Dot chapter here of a women's networking group, like connection group that I run, I didn't know any of those women. Everybody was strangers. And now they're my best friends, like people that I talk to on a daily basis are these women that we go back and forth. Hey, what do you got going on? What's going on in your business? Oh, and I can call them on their stories. They call me on mine, like all that type of stuff. So I look like that's super exciting of all these new cool people that have now come into your life that could be friends with. But it's so interesting, Courtney, because we all watched what you did on Saturday when you were like a total rock star going through, like for you to say that this was like, the point to everybody else is like, do you see we all struggle with the same things? Like underneath that layer, because I can guarantee you everybody walked away from Saturday's training being like, girl got her shit together. Like that girl is a rock star, right? Like, yes, look, everyone's shaking their heads. But they're underneath all of that. We all struggle with the same stuff. And if you read what Lauren wrote in here in the chat, it makes so much sense that if we're going through this stuff, so are other people that we're reaching out to. I've had the same message with so many of you when they're like, oh, well, this person does this. I'm like, you don't know what's going on in their world. You don't know how bad they hate their corporate job right now and they don't want to be working it. So reaching out and having that message, it could be a life-changing thing for them. But Courtney, in that space of just not feeling safe, is it, I guess I got to dig a little deeper on that one. Is it just, if that is your safe space and that is where you feel safe, then where is the, like, where do you feel like you're not stepping out at? Because you said network marketing is what made you feel safe and you're having success at it, but what is it that's holding you back there? I guess maybe I'm missing it.
So I want to be able to like do Facebook Lives. I want to like be able to show up more there and like in a public setting. And I just really don't even know how to be like, even when I post regular posts, I write 10,000 drafts because I worry how it's going to come across. Condescending, like I'm better than people. Like I like am so, and then I worry that like there'll be a fallout from it. Like if somebody takes it the wrong way or I come off the wrong way, there'll be a fallout.
So what is your intention behind your posts? Like if you're going to write, what is your intention?
My intention is to help people always, to bring, it's really not that hard, just to help people.
Then if that is your intention and somebody reads it the wrong way, that's on them. Because your intention, if your intention was coming through and like, oh, I'm really trying to like screw these people over, then it'd be a different issue, but you're not. Your intention is from a pure, authentic place of like, I'm truly trying to help other people. And if people don't receive that message, that's on them.
That's not your business how they take it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I'm also, it kind of struck, I really heard this and it kind of resonated with me. I feel like some of us have changed so much through this journey because, I mean, really, like Bob says, it's a personal development journey with a compensation plan attached. And who I was even last year to who I am today is so different. But I feel like those people who aren't around me to see this change, then when I come out and I'm this person, it's like they think it's inauthentic because they expect me to be that person. and so sometimes it's not well received. And so then or people, I've heard other people say that, like with lives and stuff, sometimes then with that puts a block. Like, well, I don't want to put myself out there then because that's how it was received, rather than just being proud of the change and who you're growing to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but think about this. When you're saying how it's received, how many people really is that? What would you say? One?
Right.
Yeah. So think about that. You are going to stop putting yourself out there, being true to who you are and sharing your message, because one person that maybe you probably don't even really care about, but they're going to change it. Like, so what that does is, like, if you had your power on a silver platter, you're handing it over to somebody else and being like, here, take my power, because, well, you might think badly of me, so I'm not going to do this. And I used to be, trust me, I was that way for a long, long time, until you just have kind of like this F it moment, and I'm going to be who I'm going to be. And if people like me, awesome. And those that don't, not my tribe. I'm out there to find my tribe, but those people that like me for me. And if you don't, that's fine too. Like, Courtney, I appreciate you sharing, because I don't think any of us realized that you had that struggle going on, and now we feel so much more connected to you. But I really appreciate that. But know that you're safe here.
Thanks.
But have you ever done a Facebook Live?
I have, and I have. And I think the first one I did had like over 2,000 views, which sort of totally freaked me out. And I didn't really do one after.
Okay. So we're going to put a challenge out there for you that over the next 3 weeks, you're going to be doing some Facebook Lives, and we're going to hold you to it, because and if you got to, when I used to do my Facebook Lives, I would, kind of like I did tonight, I had some bullet points down and I would kind of map out what I wanted to say. I wouldn't spend all day on it. But the reality is, if you want to talk business or you want to talk whatever, if you get the same question twice, Bob always told me this, if you get the same question twice, do a video on it. That's like the universe telling you to go do a video on that. So if somebody in your downline has the same question twice, or you even hear the same question twice, or something comes up, do a video on it. I used to do videos on my books all the time that I was reading, and that would get my highest. And all I would read something, I was like, ooh, that was really good. I'm going to share it from this book. And that would get so many views on it and stuff. It's just sharing things that you're learning, sharing your journey, because the purpose of doing those videos is to pull out your tribe and the people that are like, oh my gosh, I love the stuff she says. What the heck is she doing? Like, I want to, and then the side messages starting and everything. Like, that's the purpose of doing those. It's not to, and the reality is, probably your close friends in your circle, they're not your tribe. None of my friends watch my videos. They have no clue what's going on in my life, but I'll still go out and have beers with them and whatever. Like, that's totally fine. I just don't, well, how's business going? Good. Awesome. Things are great. But my tribe, I talk to them like they know what's going on, and you don't have to worry about that. And that's okay to have those two different types of worlds like that. You don't have to, everybody knows what you're doing in network marketing. Like, it's okay. They don't need to know.
Another reason that you should be doing live videos, which, and I'm speaking to myself, Courtney, is because people get to know your personality. They fall in love with you. You know, they can't fall in love with you through a post. I had done 2 Facebook Live challenges back to back. I actually won my Diva Ring Light, and there was like 3,000 people in the challenge, and I went live for probably a year and a half straight. I didn't even miss Sundays, and then pretty soon I'm like, I'm exhausted. I need to take Sundays and Saturdays off, and then little by little by little, I think I literally just played that red light story. I'm burned out. I don't want to do Facebook Lives anymore. And I tell you what, when I was going strong and doing them consistently, people were falling in love. Oh, thank you. I'm like, oh, thank you. Anyway, when I was going strong and doing them consistently, people could count on me. They trusted me. I remember watching Bob Heilig, and I literally said, oh my God, I learned this. And this, I'm talking like almost 3 years ago. I learned this from Bob. He said, we're all just like DJs. We're putting our own spin on it. And I'm like using the turntable all fake, you know. But that's all we're doing, is learning something, putting our own spin on it, and then sharing it with other people. helping to create value for them. But I'm talking to myself too. How many times has Bob said, do them at least 2 a week, 2 a week, people? But I remember, this is my whole point. When I was doing Facebook Lives consistently, there was 1 month that I signed up 17 people. 17 people. And I mean, maybe you guys do that every day. I don't know. But I wasn't prior to that. But it's like when you reach out to them, they already know you. They fall in love with you. It's a lot easier for them to say yes. Right? So back to my red light story. And I committed to a couple of my teammates today that I would get back to doing at least 2 a week. And I have one planned for tomorrow night. So I guess that was my Band-Aid I just ripped off.
Good. Courtney, let me ask you this. Are you a perfectionist when it comes to that type of stuff?
Yeah, I am.
So one of my favorite sayings is done is better than perfect. So like just getting it done, and it doesn't have to be perfect, because perfectionism, you could sit there all day long and be like, oh, if I say this and maybe, well, I got to change this one around and everything. Done is better than perfect. Just get it out there. I never go back and watch my lives because I would critique myself so bad. I just respond to the comments and they're always good. Good. Anybody else? Look at 11 o'clock. You guys are total freaking rock stars. I love this. This shows the commitment that you have. Do you know what's wild? So this is a Build Your Business Rank Up Accountability Challenge. We had more people on this mindset call tonight than we had on anything we've done so far. Even the one with Bob. Bam. So does anybody have anything else that they want to say at all? Go ahead, Twyla. I was wondering if you were going to share. I knew it. I was waiting. You waited till the very end, girl.
Well, what I have to say is very different from what everybody else has been saying. So I've been thinking that maybe I just didn't need to say it, but so I've already been through all of this mindset stuff years ago. My life has been hard from day one, and that's okay, because I learned to say that circumstances are not who I am, they're just what's going on around me. I have a very positive outlook. I am a coach to so many people. People call me when they need to be boosted up. I realized that the reason I'm stuck in my business is because I don't want to do it, which probably sounds stupid to you guys, but I'll tell you why. I had my perfect life, and I lost it, and now circumstances are forcing me to have to make an income, and I resent it. I don't want to. I love the business. I love my team. I'm making money. My team is a decent size, but I'm a farm girl. I want to be outside. I want to be with my animals. I've homeschooled for 22 years. I want to be with my kids. I want to teach them. I have 2 grandsons that I can't go visit because I don't have the money. I had a 6-figure income, and I could give my kids anything I wanted. And when my husband got sick, his family took it all away from us. I am a strong person. I know that. I don't need anyone to tell me. I packed up my 5 kids and my sick husband, and I moved us clear from the East Coast to the West Coast to get away from the crap. I bought a house. I have started a B&B business that is successful. I started a farm. I make herbs. I grow gardens. You can probably hear my chicks. That's what I love doing. That is my passion, being with my family. And I am stuck in front of this computer for hours every day, and I don't want to be. I want to be with my family. But I can't without money because my husband can't work again. And he provided for me for 20 years, and I want to provide for him. But I feel like my 2 older daughters that are still at home are the ones raising my kids now. And I hate it. And I have two good friends in this business who are almost to the top of the company. And they're spending more time now doing things and managing their teams than they were when we all started together. And I'm scared if I'm successful, I'm going to be stuck in front of this computer forever. And I don't want to be. So every time I walk in this room, in front of this computer, I have anxiety attacks because I hate computers. I bought this computer and my phone to do this business. I didn't have one before. And so the means to getting the life I want is the very thing that I hate. So
But how good does it feel to say it? Like good
well,
and
it was
scary.
you all that helped me realize it. I thought I was stuck because I had so much on my plate, or because I was tired, or because I don't know. But I went through my Facebook last night and I went like all the way back. I started Facebook to start a business. I had no friends on Facebook when I started because I hate social media. And I was looking at all my posts, and it was fun back then because I was just like, fitting it in here and there when I could. And once I realized I could actually make money at it, then I was like, oh, I need to get serious about this if I'm going to give my family the financial freedom that we need. But now I want to, my family's outside taking care of my baby goats and my chickens and having campfires, and that's the life I love.
But Twyla, you're able to be at home right now with your kids, right? And your family and your farm and your husband, and work the business in the little nooks and cranny. I mean, it doesn't have to take over. You're not having to leave from 7 a.m. and come back at 5 p.m. and drive an hour each way. You have the ability to do both, don't you think?
I feel like I don't, because our finances have gotten to the point where if I don't make this business happen fast, we could lose things again.
That's a lot of pressure. And so when you're building the business, you're building a business probably not from a place of like, oh, giving and loving and sharing. It's coming from a place of almost like desperation.
Yeah. Not this winter just passed, the one before, I had to feed my family out of a dumpster. I don't want to ever have to do that again. But I feel like I'm missing out on my family. My kids go to my daughters for things that they used to come to me for, and I understand why, and I'm so grateful my daughters are still at home. They're adults, they could be gone, but they're staying to help. But I resent having to
Can you rearrange like the hours that you do? Like when your kids are at school, and I don't know if your older daughters work, like when your kids are at school, can you zone in and work then? And then when your kids are home, like spend quality time with your kids.
I live in the middle of the mountains. I homeschool.
Oh, that's right. You did say you homeschool.
Yeah, like that. We are very remote, and we love it.
Set your alarm, honey. Set your alarm. Go to bed when your kids go to bed. Get up before they get up, or stay up late. And if you're a morning person, night person, get up early, stay up late. Whatever it takes.
My husband and my oldest daughter have post-traumatic stress, and my whole family's recovering from Lyme disease. So they're sick too. So early mornings and late nights don't really work. I've tried it at home. Anyway, that's an excuse. I can find time to work. I just resent it. I'm realizing that my father-in-law took away the life I had.
Well, and here's the thing.
Now I have to work and my husband can't.
Well, and here's the thing. Like, you're obviously a strong woman. You have gone through stuff that us can't even fathom. So you're an amazingly strong woman. And this is a test. Like, you are at a pivotal point in your life right now where this is a test. And how are you going to move forward through this? Like, do you go get a full-time job to provide for your family because somehow you need income coming in? This job, though, gives you the flexibility to do it from your house. So when your kids, you know, you're homeschooling them, but they still maybe for 20 minutes have to sit there and do the work. You grab your phone while set a timer. Okay, for 20 minutes, you're going to do your math homework and I'm going to message people. Like, creating some sort of system that way, because if you can't leave during the day because you homeschool your kids unless you're going to put them in a school. So you need to find a workaround with this, and you need to say goodbye to that past life. Everything that happened in the past, your father-in-law, the move across the country, the dumpsters, everything, like, that's done. Like, you step into a new person right now and you just say, this is how it's going to go, because you have that strong mentality that you just have to let the past be the past and almost act like it never happened. And we're moving forward from here. And here's how I'm going to do it, and make that decision. You make the decision and then you make the commitment to doing it. And obviously you've already done that because you're here. But that resentment and everything you have coming up, the resentment that's coming out towards this business right now is the resentment of all the shit that's gone on for all the years. And you're holding it against this business right now. But this business is the only thing that's going to give you the income. I shouldn't say the only thing, but with your situation, and you are the one that has to work, like, this is the vehicle that could help you.
Yeah.
I wish I could hug you. I mean, I wish I could just be there and give you a huge, big, old freaking hug. Like, all of us do. Like, all of us want to give you the biggest hug because we are supporting you and we love you. And, like, we are here and we got your back. And what I could say is you're showing up every day. Like, you're on the calls. You know what I mean? You're trying.
Okay, I got to say this. Can you guys got to help me next week and the week after to stay accountable, because including my family, I'm going to have 21 people here at my house between my B&B and my other rental, and people helping us get another rental. So I'm going to have 21 people to house and feed, and I don't want to miss a single session on here. So if you don't see me, somebody message me and tell me to get on here.
So here's what you need to do. You need to plan, and you need to be very intentional, and not planning this. You need to plan the rest of your day, because I don't know, you have a B&B, so then you're cooking food or you're doing housekeeping. Like, I don't know what's all involved in that. But you plan, and you need to plan it before it happens. Remember how I talked about my life was reactionary? Well, right now, if you go into this week being reactionary, it's not going to be good. So you need to be completely intentional and almost map it out. This time to this time, we're doing this. This time to this time, homeschooling. This time to this, like, you need to be very clear in your plan, because all of that can easily go to chaos.
Yeah.
But be super intentional and let your kids know this is the game plan. This is how it's going to work. Let the people that's coming to the Airbnb, hey, this is the time that we will cook and clean and whatever goes into that. Exactly. Set the expectations, and you be in complete control of how everything flows. Because if you let everybody else, you're letting 21 other people be in control of everything. Oh, like, that's crazy. So you need to set the intentions, and you need to do that now before it happens.
Okay.
And we'll hold you
Can you get
accountable.
help from your older kids?
Yes, my 2 oldest daughters will help some, but they also work at a nearby resort cleaning, so they'll be gone some. But yeah, planning is what I need to do.
Plan it and be intentional. But here's the other piece. Like, if you truly don't love what you're doing in the business, that's a That's a gut check. But look at where it's
I
coming
think
from.
I don't. I
You
think I
don't?
don't love it because I have to. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Like,
Sure.
I'm the type of person, if you asked me to do something, I would bend over backwards for you. But if you tell me I don't have a choice, my back gets up. And I think I feel like it's not my choice anymore, that I have to do this. And like I said, I'm scared that it's not going to give me time freedom. My life is just going to look like this forever.
No, because here with the time freedom piece is creating duplication. If you follow Bob's systems and you create the duplication, that is how the people that don't have time freedom at the top of a company is because they're running their entire downline. The ones that have the time freedom and you see them on vacation and you see the John and Nadia Meltons of the world going off and doing stuff is because they have created systems that their downlines follow, that they just check in with their big leaders and that's all they have to do because everything else is getting done because they've created the downline and the systems to do that. But it's having that duplication. It's having your weekly tracker. Here's how you track yourself. Here's how you know your numbers. Here's how you reach out to people. It's all of that stuff created and moving down.
Okay.
Well,
so it's out loud now. I've said it. So I gotta fix it.
But it's okay. And we're here to hold you accountable. And if at the end of this, you're like, you know what? I want to walk away. Well, you know what? We met a new friend because of this. And
can I say something, Megan?
Yeah, go ahead, Dorian.
Okay. Twyla? Yeah. Okay. I don't even know how many years ago it was. 20-something years ago. I can't even think. I'm so tired. My husband killed himself. And my freaking plans went out the window. Everything changed. He fucked up everything that I had planned. And I could not get past that for years because I dug my heels in and I said, no, my life is supposed to be married with 3 kids and a white picket fence and I don't have to work and blah, blah, blah. And I was so resentful every minute of every day. And I will tell you, your resentment is what's blocking everything else. And I totally understand it because they changed your plans. You had your life, and that's that saying that we make plans and God laughs. What we planned was not what happened. Whether right, wrong, or indifferent, it just didn't happen. And I finally realized after many, many, many years that I either stood in my resentment and anybody who tried to help me, and I can hear myself in you, because with whatever anybody said, you went, yeah, but. And that was me, because it's like your heels are dug in and you're like, you don't understand what I've been through and you don't understand what my life is like. And I don't understand what your life is like, and I don't understand what anybody else's life is like, but I do understand your resentment, and I do understand you're stuck with what your in-laws did, and you feel forced. I was forced to go to work. I was forced to be alone. I was forced to have to run around and ask people for help watching my kid in the morning, and people said no, and then the school said I couldn't bring him in early, and I'm like, dude, everything was just one thing after another, and for years and years and years, and I was very, as Megan says, reactionary. But what I was letting life happen to me instead of taking control. And I see it in your eyes, I feel it in your heart. I have been there, completely different circumstances, tragedy after tragedy, believe me, living still in tragedy here. But it's breaking you. The resentment is killing you. And that's what it is. And you're going to have to do some personal development. And I'm going to tell you who's helped me with this. Okay. It's a podcast. I joined his group, but you could just do the podcast. It's free. It's Brad Bizjack. He was a Beachbody coach. He does he has done his life coaching homework, mindset homework, and he will take you through those places. And what he did, I've done a few of the lessons, but the free podcasts are incredible. And what you have to do is take everything that's upsetting and resentful and all of that and turn it around to be something that you're grateful for. So I'm like, my mind is trying to think that way already. So you're upset that you're spending so many hours in front of the computer, but thank God you have that network marketing job, or you wouldn't be homeschooling anybody. So you can either look at it as I'm stuck in front of the computer, or I get to be the homeschooling mom that I want to be. Because how heartbroken would you be if you had to send your kids to school and that's not who you are? You know, I mean, most of us can't wait to send our kids to school, but if that's, you know what I mean? But homeschooling moms are a breed. I was a teacher for 20 years. I cannot imagine doing it with my own kid, but that's beside the point. Okay. You've got a bed and breakfast. Like, you've got stuff. You are so strong that you found ways to save your ass. Okay. You need to, it's so funny. I'm going to show you this, because one of the things he said was keep a success journal. And I took this stupid book. It says Hopes and Dreams on it. It was supposed to be for goals, but I wrote success journal on it because he did a podcast and he said, you need to every day write down something that you did that was a success. I don't care if it's brushing your teeth, but you need to start counting your successes. You got on this call, like Megan was saying, you're showing up for everything. You got on this call tonight. You didn't leave. You have to be exhausted. I'm tired. I don't have kids. I don't have a bed and breakfast, and I don't have 21 people coming next week. You have to be dead. You got on this freaking call. That is a huge success. Your hair is brushed. Your house is clean. I can see it. Like, lady, what are you, like, you need to be counting all the things that you do right. And you know what? You've got to find joy in this network marketing job again. And the way to find joy is to take the pressure off yourself and say, you know what? Let go and let God. It's going to work. It's going to work. Because Megan said desperate. When you are this pressured, you do feel desperate, and then the business doesn't start to work because it comes across, it's like, dogs can smell it, people can smell it. It's okay to have pain. It's okay to feel, upset. It's okay. You have had, that dumpster story is like, unlike anything I could, like, my heart breaks for you, but you went past it. You rose above it. I admire you, because I'd rather be friends with someone who says, I got to feed my kids, I'm getting in a dumpster, than someone that says, I can't feed my kids. I don't, you're a do whatever has to get done kind of person. That's my favorite person in the world. Okay. My favorite person in the world who will do, I said to George the other day, I said, I don't care if I have to clean every toilet in this neighborhood. I am never leaving this house. I am in a house where I finally love where I am. I don't know. I mean, my financial situation depends on this working as well. If I have to take 16 other jobs to stay in my happy place, like, what is your happy place? Your happy place is homeschooling your kids. Your happy place is your chicks, which I don't hear anymore, but like, I'm a farm. We're on the farm too. But you have a couple things you could do, which is listen to that podcast and turn it around so that you are finding, I had to dig deep. One of the exercises for this thing was take the worst moment in your life and find some reason you're grateful for it. And I had to take my husband's suicide and say, you know what? It taught me to be the do whatever has to get done kind of person that has carried me through the rest of my life. I wouldn't be that person. I wouldn't. So if I could, let me tell you something, if I could dig him up and kill him again, I would. Okay. Not saying I'm happy with him. I'm saying that there was something that came out of it. And there's stuff that's coming out of this. And you know what? Megan saw it the other day. Carrie saw it. I almost called her Caroline. I never call her Caroline. I got on and I did a live. And I said everything. And you know what? It freaking helps. And like, you don't know who else is in the situation you're in. You really don't. Or in a situation that's even worse and you don't realize it. And how much you can help people with what you're in. And it's okay to cry on a live, and it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to say, I struggle, you know, but I don't quit. And that's what I see in you. You struggle, but you don't quit. And I mean, I don't care if you quit the network marketing job. You're not quitting your life. You're not quitting on your kids. You're not quitting on your family. That is the big thing to write in your success journal. You know, you have to just work on turning it around, get rid of that resentment, only because it's eating you alive. And you know what? You can make a schedule. Okay, you totally can make a schedule. When you say you can't get up early or whatever, you know that's a story. You know that's an excuse. It's a bullshit red light, blah, blah, blah. I've done it. Ask Carrie. You want to get off the phone, message Carrie and say, how many excuses does Doreen have? Okay, you know, I can't because that's, we all do that. But you can. You have to but you're clouded because of that resentment. So once you can get past, can't means won't. Can't means don't want to. Once you get past that resentment, once you can look at it as, I am successful, I do this, and I do have this, and I'm grateful for this, and this, and learn to say, I mean, every time something bad happens, I swear to you, I go, thank you, because you know what, if I don't say thank you, I'm going to be miserable all day. So it is, like Megan said, it's all in the way you perceive it. You get to host 21 people. You know what? That means you've got income coming in if you've got people in the bed and breakfast, right? That's a good thing. Is it going to break your back? Are you going to be exhausted? Yeah, you will. But you know what? It won't be like this forever. Nothing is like this forever. It's a season. You've had a crappy season. It might be a crappy long season, but it's a season and it's going to pass.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to just let everything happen to you because you're so stuck in your resentment. And that's what happened to me. When I was so stuck in my resentment, I just let everything bash me all the time. Take control, make a schedule. If you want to talk, I will help you make a schedule. It took me freaking years. I will help you make a schedule. But I had to dig deep with the schedule and realize that I can't schedule. I told Carrie this recently. I can't make a doctor's appointment for until after 3 or 4 p.m. because in my head, if I make a doctor's appointment or any kind of appointment at 10, 11, 12, I'm done working. And my excuse is I was busy. No, I chose to make an appointment at a time that interfered with the hours where I have optimal energy. So you just have to find where you have the most energy, where you can bang it out. Because I tell you what, I do in 2 hours now what I used to do in 12. But it's all a mindset. Everything is the mindset. And you are going to get past this and get through this and be a happy person again. I swear. I promise you.
Good stuff. Oh my gosh, ladies. This is like warrior stuff here. 11:30 at night. This was amazing. I loved everybody. And it was so right. For those of you that are on the call today, I was like, oh, should I do this as a Zoom or should I do this as a, and I tried to do it live and it wasn't meant to be live because it was meant to be exactly as it was. So I am so thankful for all of you. Doreen, thanks for your input there. Like, I feel so connected to all of you. And Twyla, we are here for you. And wow, like I'm mentally drained. But this has been amazing. And I thank each and every one of you. So go get some sleep, rest up, and we will reconvene back tomorrow, 12 Eastern. You guys are awesome. Thank you so, so much for tonight. Yes. Love to all of you.